Hey everyone, this is Dylan and welcome to Blumhouse. Today I will be doing a review of the new Blumhouse movie on Amazon Prime of Nocturne. So Nocturne was released on October 13th, 2020, and if you're watching this today that I post it, it is currently now streaming on Amazon Prime. It was written and directed by Zhu Corky. I'm not sure if that's how you say her name, but that's the closest I could get. And it stars Sydney Sweeney as Juliet and Madison Eisman as Vivian. So let's get into what this movie is about. So we have twins. They are Juliet and Vivian. Like a lot of siblings, there is a bit of a rivalry there. They're both very competitive in their musical careers because they're both musicians. They both play the piano, and we find out that Vivian's kind of like this very popular girl, and she succeeds a lot more than Juliet does. Juliet's kind of like shy, and she's very introverted, and Vivian's kind of extroverted. We find out that Juliet and Vivian both applied to get into Juilliard, the performing arts school, and Vivian got in, but Juliet did not. And we mostly follow these girls at their like boarding school, which is like a musical arts performing boarding school. So the school has like this big showcase at, I guess, the end of the year, and there's like this big part of the concerto, and that's where one student who wins this contest that is given by the board of the people at the school, they get to perform, and this is kind of like a stepping stone to having a very successful career. And so we find out that the girl who originally had the concerto position ended up dying, jumping off of a balcony and dying. The administrators at the school decide to restart the competition, and while they're doing that, Juliet actually finds this girl's music theater notebook and starts reading it and decides that she's going to do the same music that is in it. That music also ends up being the same music that Vivian is doing for her audition. And so she decides not to tell Vivian that she's doing the exact same thing until the audition when it comes out. And during that time, there's a whole lot of really weird things happening. And then Vivian actually gets the concerto position, and Juliet is devastated. And then they end up going to a party. It's like a senior year party out in the middle of a desert. And Vivian ends up falling off of this cliff, breaks her arm, and cannot play the concerto position. So the administrators are like, it's 2 weeks before this time, you've got the exact same program that you can play. And so all while she's practicing and doing these things, the pages in the book that the girl who had committed suicide had, there were like artwork, and they started having like almost like premonition things. Like they started to come alive, and like the things that were in the artwork were actually happening in real life to Juliet. And so that's where I'm going to leave the synopsis, and now let's get into what I like and did not like. So one of the first things that I liked was there are some actually really cool imagery in this movie. I think that the artwork is really cool. And I think that there's a couple scenes where we have these close-ups of Juliet's eyes, and you can see images in them, and I think that those are really cool shots and visually really interesting. I also liked how this movie dealt with sibling rivalry. I have a sibling myself, I have a brother, and there's a lot of sibling rivalry there, and I liked how that kind of was like one of the main things that the story was talking about. I also thought that this movie kind of seemed like a adaptation of like a Asian horror movie, but as far as I can tell, this is a completely original idea, but it just had this kind of Asian horror vibe to it, and I thought that that was kind of interesting. And it does also kind of play into an American movie, which was Black Swan. It was very reminiscent of Black Swan, and how these two girls are competing for the same role. And so that kind of was very interesting in more of a like high school teenage setting than in a adult ballet setting, so I thought that that was an interesting take on the Black Swan story. I also liked that this is the movie in this Welcome to Blumhouse series that I think was the most horror, and I ended up really enjoying this one. This movie is pretty new. I can't really give you any stats on what other people thought of this movie, but I did give it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I really enjoyed it. I thought since we have 4 movies now coming out from the Welcome to Blumhouse series, we won't get the other 4 until next year. I would do a ranking. In number 4 position, I would put Evil Eye, and none of these movies are bad by any means. So number 4 is Evil Eye, then number 3 is Black Box, and those two particularly are ones that I thought were very reminiscent of other movies. Black Box was very reminiscent of Get Out, and the Evil Eye was, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head that it was similar to, but I've definitely seen movies like that before. And then number 2 is The Lie. I thought that that was quite interesting. I still am not sure how I feel about like the ending and things like that, but I think I did enjoy that one a little bit more. And then number 1 is Nocturne. I think Nocturne is probably the best out of the batch, and this is kind of a real horror movie compared to the other ones, which are more like family dramas. But that is it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, please hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like if you liked it. Let me know what you thought about Nocturne in the comments down below, or any of the other Welcome to Blumhouse movies. I have videos on all of those, so make sure to check those out. So thank you guys for watching and have a great day. Bye!